technical hitch. Gurleen ma'am, please hold on. Gurleen ma'am, can you please unmute yourself from your laptop?
Am I audible now?
Yes. Please go on.
Okay. Thank you, MCCIA, for giving me this opportunity. So it brings me back the memories of being physically present last year at Pune Expo in Pune. A very warm good evening to Excellencies, distinguished panelists, colleagues, and dear friends. As you would all know that international economy is traversing through tailwinds, having experienced crisis of pandemic, the Ukraine crisis, and now the Israel-Palestine war back to back. And in such a scenario, the concerns of fragile supply chains and the need for diversification, resilience, and reliability of supply chains is only bound to increase, giving India an opportunity to become the pole star of global economy. And right now, as per IMF predictions, India is already the bright spot in the global economy. And all this has been very positively boosted by the recent initiatives of Government of India to enable India to become a pole star of the global economy, like the production-linked incentive schemes with focus on 14 very important sectors, including advanced chemistry, battery cells, artificial intelligence, semiconductors, pharmaceuticals, and green energy, mobile and electronics, among others. We have seen how the production and export of mobile phones has risen manyfold, with Apple being the latest beneficiary of the PLI scheme. So we are already on track to become a $5 trillion economy by 2025, and boosting infrastructure development across India through the PM Gati Shakti scheme, then providing the logistics solutions through national logistics policy, through single window portal. We have seen on ground change how India has climbed in the global indices, including in the World Bank's Logistics Performance Index 2023. India is already making for the world, and in this effort, our Indian missions are striving to not only take the local to the global, but also to go globally local. That is the two-way connection between the India's exports. We have just recently launched the Foreign Trade Policy 2023, which is set to increase India's exports to $2 trillion by 2030. So here in Economic Diplomacy Division in Ministry of External Affairs, we have been involved in negotiating the bilateral investment treaties with various countries, including lately with Australia, Canada, UK, to help protect the investments of Indian citizens in other countries and vice versa. Not just we are also involved keenly with the Ministry of Commerce in getting free trade agreements for India. As you would all know that India has a wide range of FTAs and PTAs with various countries, but now of late we have just concluded FTA with UAE, Australia, and we are having ongoing negotiations with UK, European Union, and Peru. So we are also in the process of promoting the three T's of the economy, which is the trade, tourism, and technology. So our Indian missions are on ground involved in day-to-day reporting of what steps are they taking to promote all the three T's, which are the quintessential pillars of Indian economy today. Uh, we are striving towards the goal of achieving 100 million international tourists in India by 2047, which will be the 100th year of independence. So, exploring international business prospects, which is the theme for today. As you would all know, India has very successfully presided over G20, and with the vision of one earth, one family, one future, we had a very successful G20 presidency, which gave resonance to the voice of Global South and which addressed the concerns of resilient supply chains, debt restructuring, energy security, sustainable transition, among other themes. And the biggest of all, we actually made African Union as a member of G20 grouping, which now opens endless opportunities for Indian businesses to explore business prospects in African region. As you would all know, major cities of India are today experiencing some grave issues of air pollution, water scarcity. So now it is for the businesses to think that how we can actually, instead of producing rice in India, which gives rise to stubble burning and consequent air pollution, uh, acquire lands in Africa and produce such agricultural crops in Africa, thereby decongesting our main agriculture producing states and resolving the pressing issues of water scarcity, of air pollution. We are also thinking in the lines of setting up industrial clusters, industrial zones in countries like Tanzania, Egypt. So as you would all know, the recent successful visit of the Tanzanian president to India, there were talks on the lines of setting up a kind of Indian SEZ in Tanzania at the port of Dar es Salaam. So like we have China Mart in Dubai, which caters to almost entire China UAE trade. Similarly, Dubai being a transshipment hub can source from Indian farmers, and then Indian agro products can fulfill the food security needs of the Middle East. So this brings me to another very important area, which is the key focus of the government of India today, being the critical minerals. As we transition to electric vehicles, to semiconductors, which require resources like lithium, cobalt for an energy transition, we are now involved in acquisition of strategic mineral assets worldwide. Uh, and we are also looking to, India has already become a member of the Mineral Strategic Partnership, and we are taking various initiatives to enhance our strategic partnership with United States in this field so that we can get benefits under the Inflation Reduction Act, like US has just concluded such an agreement with Japan. Today, in the field of semiconductors, we have Indian startups not just thinking but also executing in all the three phases of design, fabrication units, and the packaging and assembly of semiconductors. Now, to give a boost to all these trade initiatives, we have recently started implementing international trade settlement in Indian rupees, which will give a further boost to the exports because of settling the transactions in local currencies of the two countries. We already have special rupee Vostro accounts from banks of 22 countries opened in India. Transactions are already taking place in 26 accounts from 7 countries, including Russia, Sri Lanka, Kenya, Tanzania, Mauritius, Botswana, and Uganda. India is also in the process of speedily exporting our digital stack. As you would all acknowledge that UPI has recently been inducted in Singapore, France, and UAE. India is also on track to become a global maritime hub, not just for external shipping, but also for internal maritime transport. And government is already thinking in the lines of building ships through which will be running on clean fuels like green hydrogen, ammonia, methanol, electric ships. Similarly, there is also a huge focus on making the gift city, the IFSCA, as a leasing hub of aircrafts, of ships. And not just in the goods sector, we are also in the process of exporting services like education. We have recently concluded MOUs of opening IITs in Dubai and Tanzania. And we have ongoing talks to open one such campus in Malaysia. And then this brings me to the sector of defense, which is maybe the key highlight of the Pune Expo. So, Government of India has taken several policy initiatives in the past few years to encourage indigenization of defense production. We have established two defense industrial corridors, one each in Uttar Pradesh and Tamil Nadu, to attract investments in the defense industrial corridors in aerospace and defense sectors. Then also India's defense industry's ability to absorb technology, the foreign technology, needs to be enhanced by investing in indigenous R&D capabilities. The extensive opportunities to use AI and data analytics in systems design and maintenance needs to be explored by the local industry. Here, defense diplomacy can play an important role in forging international partnerships. And it can't be carried out solely by diplomats or our defense attaches, but I think as industry and such platforms like Pune Expo are our biggest brand ambassadors in such sectors. So I thank you for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me just check if Rajat sir has joined. Rajat, I see EPC behind you. So please let's test and get going. Can you hear me, Rajat ji? Rajat ji, you need to unmute yourself. Rajat ji, hello. You need to unmute yourself.
Yeah, is it okay now?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Thank you, MCCIA, Mr. Kopadekar, and dignitaries on the dais, and thanks for this opportunity. I think it's a very apt time to discuss very apt subject. We are, apart from the Cold War that is going on between China and US and Russia and US, we also have two more wars going on. And I would like to present export opportunities for our Indian engineering sector in the middle of all these wars and how we can navigate our exports to the target of, I think, uh, about 1 billion in next few years. We are already 750 uh, million already, but we need to see how, because these two more developments were not envisaged. And let me put my screen. Is it visible now? Okay, my photograph is coming. Just a second, huh? I'll just
Sure.
call a. Yes, इसको share कैसे? I want to share ना. There are two screens you have opened. I hope the screen is clear now.
Yes, sir.
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. Yes. So we know where we stand today after 76 years of full democracy. We have been able to raise our GDP about 100 times to $3.75 trillion. Our overall exports went up 600 times to 776 billion. We are the fifth largest economy as on date, and we will be the third largest economy by 27-28. We are the old nation, but a very young population, 65% below 35 years of age. We were the, I would say, very few countries which witnessed a V-shaped recovery from pandemic. So that's really commendable, which means our fundamentals were strong, even if we stopped and halted our economy. But as soon as the COVID left, we came back to our original shape. What is the vision for 2747? We would like to have our economy up to $32 trillion. Today, as on date, the US economy is 26 trillion. GDP growth, of course, average annual real GDP, we expect to go up in next 25 years by 706%. Our industrial sector, of course, should be part of about 26 to 35% of the GDP. And human capital, of course, the earlier speaker, the undersecretary had already mentioned, we have huge human capital, which if we can divert it to artificial intelligence, industry 4.0, and really gear up our SME sector to adopt these two, would really give a big boost for India. Maharashtra, as we see, we have a $486 billion of GDP, which is almost as good as the GDP of Turkey, more than the GDP of Pakistan. And Maharashtra continues to be a magnet, which is basically the primary item for exports are pearls, precious stones, engineering, jewelry, motor vehicles, iron and steel. So Maharashtra continues to be a dominant player in our growth story in international market. Pune, of course, the program is happening there. So Pune district is the biggest district as per the recent survey done. Major items of exports are engineering goods followed by drugs and pharmaceuticals. Thanks to COVID vaccine from Serum Institute, electronic goods, organic, inorganic chemicals, plastics, These are the top 5 commodities from Pune region. Friends, when EPC was started by Ministry of Commerce, the India's exports of engineering goods was only $10 million. Today, as we stand, it's $107 billion last year. This year we try to, if we go by this trend, and the war doesn't affect much, we should be touching $125 billion. But I think we should be around 122, 120. And the target is that we should reach $1 trillion of merchandise exports, out of which $300 billion of exports. That's it, future that we plan. Friends, we have worked out a strategy report where we have identified 40 key countries which account for about 87% of India's engineering exports. Now, when we say engineering, engineering is anything which is 50% and above metal. If a pen in your pocket is 50% above metal, it is engineering. I know pen is not an engineering product, but still somehow we have to arrive at a definition. US continues to be the largest export destination. And in this list of 40 key countries, we have identified 8 European countries still, which are the future for India's engineering exports. Southeast Asia, we have identified 5 countries. South Asia, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Nepal are very important partners. They are buying in bulk our Indian machineries. I think we stand to gain a lot if we focus, our exporters focus more on our neighbors. And emerging destinations, we see Africa and Latin America. Of course, Africa has 54 countries. So we have identified 10, 12 countries from Africa where growth stories are happening. Similarly, Latin America, whether it is Colombia, Peru, Brazil, we hope that a lot of export orders will originate from those regions. Some of the engineering products that together contribute 63% of India's total engineering global exports, which is iron and steel, the biggest. Steel products, this is chapter 73, electrical machinery, industrial machinery, auto components. Now these are the products which we see that has a major share in India's global engineering exports. This is about EPC. I'll not spend much time on it. We are the biggest council in India with about 13,000 members. 60% of our membership is small medium enterprises. We were established in 1955. We work as an advisory body to Government of India. We issue a certificate of origin, which is a document required to claim government incentives from DGFT, and also MAI scheme under Ministry of Commerce. We also publish, market survey reports, tender inquiries, global tender inquiries, and there is a weekly magazine also that we have, which contains all this information regarding, any notification, market reports, forex. We attend to overseas complaints. We do strong licensing with DGFT, customs. There are a lot of excise issues also still happening, though this is a GST regime going on. We try and resolve that with various departments. Apart from that, who are our membership, who have taken our membership, we also have a database of buyers. If any exporter, any member gives me an HS code with 2 or 3 countries, we have the database and we can share the importers list with them. And it's freely available from our side. And then besides that, we also carry out a strategy report, as I mentioned, which are the markets of future, what are the products of future that we should invest in. And those benefits are there for our members to avail. There's also a GST benefit for merchant exporters, where you don't need to pay full 18% GST. Just pay 0.1% GST if you're holding my RCMC certificate. RCMC, as the name suggests, registration cum membership certificate. There is also a bank guarantee exemption by customs. If you are having my RCMC, then in case of EPCG, DFIA, customs will not ask you the bank guarantee. And our NSIC is also offering 80% of our membership fee reimbursed So our membership fee ranges from 6.5 rupees to 75,000 rupees, depending upon the export turnover. And if you are an SC, ST, MSME, then 80% of the fees, subject to a limit of 20,000, is reimbursed. Uh, what do we do to promote exports? Friends, we are the custodian of market access initiative scheme from Government of India. There are certain funds available which are available for the exporters through councils like EEPC. And under these, there are three categories. I'll go very fast on this. For example, testing charges for engineering products. Say if you want to export electrical goods to European Union, you need CE markings, which are quite expensive, I'm sorry, there was a, yeah. So which are quite expensive, and we reimburse up to 2 crores worth of amount per exporter per annum. Sharing pattern is 50-50%. So whatever is, you exporter will bear the 50% and we will bear the 50. So you have to apply to us, and I think the grant comes within 2 to 3 months. It takes longer time because you need to get certified copy of the expenses done by you in a foreign country from an embassy, Indian embassy. So this is one facility. Then there is also barcoding for exports. For example, for Saudi Arabia, the barcoding has become necessary. This also costs some money. And any exporter who is EPC member, having less than 30 crores of exports, is given a grant of 25 lakhs per exporter from EPC. This is what our suggestion to find new markets in these turbulent times. There are 3 steps that India and Pune region has to do. First is to find new markets for your existing product line. Second, to become part of the global value chain. And of course, we need to recalibrate supply chains for Indian manufacturing post-COVID. And on all these 3 spheres, EEPC has, under Ministry of Commerce, has done some study regarding guidance. For example, HS code wise, we have prepared a list of markets. If you see second last and last column, second last column tells you this product being exported to which countries, like China, Vietnam, Nepal, etc. And the future country also, of course. The new focus markets are Germany, USA, Turkey, France, and Korea. So electrical machinery, similarly, for products of iron and steel, chapter 3. So out of total 195 countries in the world, we have identified these 5-6 markets for you to focus on. So this is, I would say, 50% of the battle won. If you have come to know which market you want to export. For every product we have worked out. Motor vehicles, for example, goes to Mexico, USA, Saudi Arabia, but we have identified not much motor vehicles are going from India to Canada, France, Italy, Australia, and Spain. So these are the markets which our exporters need to focus. Similarly, auto components, industrial machinery, IC engines, medical scientific instruments. These are the products which we have identified. Now, these are the products which India manufactures and which they need to keep on finding new markets and gradually also move up the value chain, because once you become outdated, then markets have no place for your product. There was the second step to become part of the global value chains. So what we do is, once in a year, we call these large global giants in engineering field to come to India and have interaction with our SME members, whether it is Siemens, Hitachi, Volvo, Jaguar, Hyundai, Mercedes-Benz, Toyota, Airbus, Boeing. A lot of companies from Pune also who are into vendor development. We invite them and they present their shopping list and tell the members, can you make these products? And we act as a bridge. EPC acts as a bridge between SME. The SMEs can't really think of approaching them. Large companies have access to them, but SME sector really do not have that access. So we try and provide that access. The third was in the process of recalibrating supply chain. When we were studying, doing my MBA, the buzzword was export or perish. But I know now the buzzword is innovate or perish, because soon your product will become outdated if you don't innovate. And from our study, we have found out that only 6% of the goods exported from India can be categorized as value added. And rest 94% are just low in value added. And they have no demand actually in the world. In fact, if you see 90 in another language, 94% of the India, what it produces has no market in the world. So we need to really, tighten our belts and see how we can move up the value chain. Besides, our spend on R&D in GDP as part of GDP is less than 1%, is actually 0.7%, as compared to countries like Korea, Taiwan, which is between 5 to 7. So we need to also see how private sector can go, especially SME sector. For your information, in Germany, in Japan, in Israel, 80% of the patents are held by SME sector, not by the large companies. R&D is not the area or forte for large companies in long run. It has to be with MSMEs, and we need to see how MSMEs can get onto the R&D part. This is what we identified, what are the raw materials, then these are the value-added goods which India needs to focus. India really needs to move from, if you see this, okay, go back. Move up from, producing, knowing as a component making country, to a value-added finished goods product making country. So that has to come. It is gradual happen now, but we are still far behind, where we are not known as a component making country rather than we should be known as a finished product making country. So this is what is required, and we were dependent on China. After COVID, the supplies got disrupted. So with MSME Ministry and EPC, we identified a list of 66 items which needed supply chain interventions. If Indian entrepreneurs can, these are the products which got disrupted and which was highly imported by India from China. Now these products can, if Indian entrepreneurs can actually get into this and try and see the disrupted supply chain is fulfilled, completely done. So these are the product 66 items. I'll leave these this particular slide and the PPT with Mr. Kopadekar. He can have it circulated among the members. This is the list that we prepared. Of course, there are a lot of exhibitions. We are doing India MSME Defense Week from 5, 6, 7, 8 of December. It's an online program. All the major sourcing heads of defense PSU companies will be there, presenting you the shopping list. So I request all of you to join. These are some of the programs that we organized in past. Yeah. And all our schemes, the third one was benefit. All our schemes, like we are doing, we're going to have this in MacTech in exhibition in Egypt, where we are actually giving a subsidy on the booth. We are also reimbursing the air ticket to the exhibitor, to our member, and also we are paying for the hotel. So all these three things are available under MAI grant. Here's some of the events which are happening. This Gulf Food is starting from today. Elmia starting from Sweden. You can see the last column about the focus products. So these products and my exhibitions have been decided on the basis of the feedback that we received from our members and also our strategy report. We feel that we must go to Sweden, we must go to Gulf Food for food processing machinery. We must help Bangladesh buy, because they are not interested in buying from Europe, which is very expensive. So these are the exhibitions that we are doing, and there is a scheme under which if your export turnover is minimum 50 lakhs domestic, you are eligible for, even if your export is zero, you are eligible for this air ticket reimbursement and the booth subsidy, including the hotel cost. Only thing is you should be 12 months old with the membership with our EPC. So I request those of you who are not our members, please become our member from today, so that after 12 months you start getting your air ticket. Even if you don't get the air ticket now, you still are eligible for space subsidy as well as the hotel accommodation that we provide to our members, except the air ticket. So you become a member and from tomorrow you qualify for such grants. These are the grants available. Latin America, unlike 50,000 rupees towards airfare. Africa, 1,50,000 towards airfare. CIS, ASEAN plus 2 general area, 90,000 rupees each. And you cannot, now there's a change in the guideline, you cannot participate more than 3 times in one particular fair. So that is one part. So if you're going to Hanover, fourth time Hanover will not be available. So that is one change, that government wants that grant should go not only to few exporters, but also percolate down to other MSMEs. So this is what I wanted to say, and this is how an example I have given, that Tanzania, we just did an exhibition where if you would have directly gone and participated, 2,50,000 rupees, while through EPC you are only paying 1,44,000 rupees. Hotel charges 50,000 approximately. With EPC there are no charges. EPC takes care of your accommodation. Air ticket 1,50,000 maximum grant available. In case of EPC, we will reimburse you the amount. So you can see the savings, about 3 lakhs rupees is saved instead of 4,50,000. You actually end up paying only 1,44,000 with EPC. So these are the promotional activities and the grant that are available from the Ministry of Commerce. This is just, we concluded an event in Kenya, which I just spoke about. ISS is also coming, which is 4th, 5th, 6th of March. All that I have spoken, global value, global giants which are present in this exhibition. I request if Pune can, MCCI can, get a group of companies, startup or SMEs, because we are going to invite around, I'll just come to the, 300 exhibitors, 400 overseas buyers from 60 different countries will be present. Dedicated vendor development programs with the PSU sectors, overseas delegates that are coming from 60 different countries, B2B sessions. So 4, 5, 6 of March. This is all in the past that we have invited so many speakers. Cost is only 9,000 rupees, which is about 81,000 rupees for 9 square meter. And you get to meet buyers from 60, 70 different nations, apart from global sourcing giants which will be there. So these are the countries which have visited us in past. Feedback, of course, has been good. Sorry, can we go back? This is a buyer list that I have just given you, a sample list. Yeah, this is the response, the feedback of earlier ISSs that we have done. You can see 43% rather were excellent, good, satisfied, add more 32% to it. Quality of buyers, excellent, good, you can see roughly around 78-80%. Buyers turnout is 78%, again, good to excellent. This is a tentative sample list of buyers. You can see buyer from Ghana, Czech Republic, Poland, Jordan, Turkey, and their product, what they are looking to buy from India. Colombia, Czech Republic, Germany, Egypt, Canada. So it's just a list that I just attached for your reference. If all of you can, we are also doing an awards with the CIM, Mr. Piyush Goyal, on 21st November in Delhi. This is our national award. These pictures are for our regional awards. So I request you, these awards are also open. All of you can apply. I'll have it sent across the link if you can apply. I can see Mr. Pava there. Please apply. Your product is good. You can also apply for the awards. Thank you very much for a very patient hearing. Thank you. I'm open to any question. Thanks.
Thank you, Rajaji. If you could just put on your screen, we just need to take your picture.
Yeah. I because of the poor connection I had.
आपका photo लेना है.
Switched it on.
Please. So just give us a minute, please. Thank you, Rajaji.
Thank you.
Please stay on if you have some time. We have small little presentation from Mr. Kabraji about state of Baden-Württemberg and city of Karlsruhe, the representative office. Then we have then the three veterans will interact with all of you in the interest of time. Sorry about this, we overshot the earlier session, so probably we had to hurry up. But I think the knowledge that we are getting is phenomenal. Please. Sorry? Okay. Okay, Bambawale sir would like to have a discussion first, then a small little presentation to conclude the show. Over to you, Bambawale sir. Please go on. Please.
Look, I don't know about all of you, but at 6 o'clock in the evening, my attention span is already becoming difficult. So what I want to do is, we've had some good presentations, and of course we will bring Mr. Kabraji in, but I thought let's make it a little more interesting. Let's have a discussion between all of us who are present here today, including all of you who are sitting here. And our focus is, of course, exports from India. So before I give the floor to Mr. Pawa, Mr. Divgi, and Mr. Kabraji, and Mr. Kopardekar, let me give you one actual example of a very small enterprise in Pune. I'm not going to take the name. They're in the area of machine tools. Now, about 1.5 years ago, they got for the first time ever a feeler from Russia. Why? Because Russians were not able to import these items from other European countries where they used to import from earlier. So this gentleman who owns this company, member of Maratha Chamber, came to me for advice, and I told him two things. One is make sure that the item that they're interested in is not sanctioned by the Americans. So make sure that that is the case. Second is get your payment first and then send the item. Be very clear about that. And the third thing I told him is that sometime you must go and visit Russia and see your client. Now, he did all of those things, and today he is selling to Russia. It was not a country to which he ever sold to before. But in the last 1.5 years, this is a new opportunity which has come up for this small company doing machine tools in Pune, and he is really happy with the result. It's a continuing export market for him. Now, while he was in Russia, he met some Chinese people. So he got a feeler from the Chinese, and recently he has visited China, met his clients, and I think he's going to start exporting to China also. So here's one example of actual exports out of Pune in the last 1.5 years when the whole world has turned topsy-turvy. So I want to turn to Mr. Pawa and Mr. Divgi and ask them, how has your experience been where exports are concerned over the last 1.5, 2 years? I'll hand to Mr. Pawa first, Mr. Divgi. Anyone of you wants to ask questions or give your experience, please feel free to do so. That will make this discussion more interesting and exciting.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree completely with what Ambassador Bambawale said. And our own experience is exactly like that. You've seen Rajat's presentation, and I think EPC particularly has been saying this for the last 2-3 years, that exporters from India have been looking at traditional markets, and there has been an overcrowding, hyper competition. But if we dare to look differently, there are fruits. The example of Russia that he gave of a small company, we are undergoing that experience. In fact, one of the very large companies in Russia, though last 3-4 years we have been proactively attempting to enter that market, and I participated in exhibitions there in Russia. But after COVID and after Russia came under sanctions, all of you should understand is that Russia is a big importer. It doesn't manufacture much in its own country except defense. But a lot of engineering products, consumer products, and even food to an extent it imports, and that opens up a huge opportunity for Indians. And once these sanctions came into play, and we were able to, start a rupee trade with them, things have really opened up. So we need to look at new markets. Rajat's presentation mentioned a lot of countries, and they've done, EEPC has done a lot of work in terms of identifying HSN codes. What is the total global trade? How much is exported from China to different countries? What is India's share in that? And therefore, what are the opportunities for us? And they are simply huge. And I think Pune is an engineering export district, so to say. If I don't know how many of you know, Pune is #1 in engineering exports as a district in the country. We are the leading district in engineering exports from India, and I think there is a lot more that we can do. The second thing I want to say is that, gone are those days when you made a product for India, domestic market, and a product internationally. Now you need to look and think global. So make a product, whatever industry you are in, make a product for global consumption. India is one of those global markets, and I think the opportunities are huge. All these geopolitical situations, they are creating headwinds for many of our competitors, but they are actually creating tailwinds for us. And like an earlier speaker said, that we are in a bright spot. 2 days ago, the Prime Minister was at the Hindustan Times annual summit, and I would encourage all of you to go to YouTube and see his speech. It's about 30 minutes, and it's very, very encouraging. A lot of data in his speech, and the theme of the HT summit was कि भारत का समय आ गया है. And I truly believe that our time is there. We are in a good situation, and we need to make the best out of it. So have a product with a global, build a product with a global mindset, and go out to countries that are unexplored and offer enormous opportunities.
Jiten, give us your experience.
Good evening, everybody. I'll keep it short and hopefully interesting, engaging. So I come from a company that makes automotive components, powertrain components and systems, and most of our products are of proprietary knowledge, so they're proprietary products in the area of manual transmissions, four-wheel drive systems, and transmissions for EVs. So our exports have been going on since the mid-90s, and we've kind of seen how the world has changed from a point in time where India was not exactly, or somebody from India was not very welcome in the corridors of purchasing power, to now where, as one of the speakers said, we have sort of become the pole star in a very volatile kind of world. I just want to draw your attention to an ongoing narrative which says that India is going to become the world's third largest economy. Now, think for a moment what the implications of that are. And I think we cannot sort of sustain that position till international trade becomes a significant portion of our GDP and economy. And as Lalit said, sitting here in Pune, which is sort of the spearhead of the engineering export machinery sort of India, we have that vantage point to sort of lead this revolution. I believe there are three forces at work that are going to help us. And while these are kind of macro forces, as somebody who runs a medium-sized company in Pune, I've actually benefited from these forces. The first one is geopolitics, and all of us know what's happened in the last 3 years. The second one, and this while it is applicable to the automotive industry, most of our industry in Pune is centered around the automotive industry, directly or indirectly. And the force there is this technology disruption coming through electric mobility and its offshoots, whether it's hybrid, fuel cell, battery electric vehicles. And that is causing a huge amount of disruption, the likes of which I think have not been seen in the history of the automotive industry. So it's like a Henry Ford moment almost happening all over again. The third force, I believe, and this is that I've seen sort of firsthand in many different parts of the world, from Japan to China to Europe, the United States, is something that's not often talked about, and that's demographics. India has a decisive advantage as a very young, energetic, almost exuberant country. I see that in Western Maharashtra and Karnataka, where we are based, there's phenomenal talent in India. And if you groom, you skill them, we are an unstoppable force. So geopolitics, electrification, and the disruptions causing, and the asymmetric advantage that we bring because of demographics, I think places India very, very well. But to take advantage of this, ladies and gentlemen, I would say that there are some, I'll just sum up some key bullet points which I think SMEs and companies need to pay attention to. Otherwise, a vision that you bring, without, as somebody said, without execution, can quickly turn into hallucination or a nightmare. So the first thing, I think we need to have tremendous focus on quality systems. When you're exporting, in this day and age, you cannot afford a quality slip-up. So it requires relentless focus, which means systems, processes, training, skilling. There has to be unrelenting focus on this. A second point that I would caution, and this I'm saying from personal experience of the last more than 30 years, there has to be an unyielding focus on financial discipline. And, especially relative to the overall value stream that you bring in delivering your product to your customers. So over the years, we have learned to do economic modeling of our inquiries, and we've modeled in things like inflation, commodity inflation, labor inflation. So and so that is sort of rolled into a discounted cash flow model that we use to price our products. There are many aspects of financial discipline, but I'll limit my remarks to this point and just say that financial discipline is important. I would say that there is such a thing as program management, because in the industry we work in, some amount of development is needed. Even if it is a component, it has to be engineered, it has to be validated, and it takes some gestation period and lead time. Please focus on developing your HR systems so that there is leadership developed in the organization at all levels to handle complex program management. Now, this is actually where India has phenomenal advantage. My learning in life, and over the last 30 years, is perhaps Indian companies for their scale are simply the most culturally ambidextrous enterprises in the world. They can adapt to culture, from Seattle, as it were. So we have to learn to take advantage of these natural sort of aptitude that I think our country has. And finally, I'll just conclude by saying that business at the end of the day, as you go out into the world, is also a cultural enterprise. And I'm sure my colleagues here on the dais would agree with me, especially Ambassador Bambawale, who sort of, as a diplomat has seen this all over the world. I think we need to learn to revel in diversity, in culture, in the different languages of the markets we operate in, and that sort of people, that you're welcomed as an ambassador on behalf of the country. And what I've learned is when you do that well, the business and technology, whatever it is that you are negotiating, will come much easier. So this, in short, is my learning, and I'll conclude my remarks here. Thank you very much.
I have one question for you, Jiten. If you made some very good points, but you haven't spoken, and you don't need to reveal any figures, values, secrets, but you haven't told us how your exports have done over the last 3-4 years and what has changed in your company's export. So just give us some idea so that all of us can benefit from it. You don't have to reveal any figures or values or secrets about your export markets.
So actually, because of the war in Russia and the geopolitics vis-a-vis China, our business did take a little bit of a beating. But I saw that as a tactical kind of reversal. Strategically, we are embedded because we've been, for example, exporting to China for more than 20 years now. So we have deep relationships. I had the opportunity actually to serve on the board of directors of a Chinese company many years ago. So I think the relationships we've built up in the US, in Mexico, in Europe, in Thailand, in Russia, also China, Korea, it's the fabric of this relationship that actually that makes our export enterprise sustainable. I would just say that business is growing, and traditionally we've seen our exports go from 25 to about 40%. We were actually expecting very good growth, and then the invasion of Ukraine happened. Unfortunately, the product that we were exporting is a dual-use kind of thing, so it came under sanctions, and we had to, given our large exposure to the US market, we had to withdraw from Russia. But we were well on our way to become a market leader in Russia otherwise. In fact, we were even negotiating a technology license. And when I think the trade consul in Moscow heard that a company from Pune was going to actually license technology to the Russians, they were quite astonished. But I would say that if you take a more strategic approach, this certainly isn't a 100-meter sprint, it's a marathon, and you've got to approach it in all its aspects in a holistic manner. But to leave you with the answer to Ambassador Bambawale's question, 25 to 40% of our revenue is exports, and we are looking forward to sustaining that even as our top line continues to grow. Thank you.
Wonderful. Let's bring in Mr. Kabraji. Any questions, any comments? Please feel free. Haath upar kar dijiye, we'll get you a... Yes, please. And we'll bring Mr. Kabraji into the conversation also. Ek microphone inko de dijiye, please. Yes, sir, please.
B.H. Shrikant, Pune. In Mr. Srivastava's presentation, it was a very good presentation on export complex procedures to other countries. But I am a little bit surprised that we have free trade pact with Sri Lanka and Nepal, and where export procedural simplicity is expected, which is not specifically mentioned in his presentation. That is, in fact, that is expected. Okay, as against the complex export procedures to the other countries due to the free trade pact from India and with Sri Lanka and Nepal, that procedural simplicity is expected by the exporters from that EEPC. This is first issue. Second issue, it is recently learned from the government that export to other countries, the export transaction was held in hard currency like euro, dollar. Hereafter, if we want to export to Iran, Indian rupee can be there in the transaction, not necessarily through hard currency. This second issue.
Yeah, so I will take the second question first. That's the easier one. India is actively promoting rupee trade with a lot of countries, and many countries have taken to it very positively. Russia is one example, UAE is the other example. Nepal, Sri Lanka Nepal was anyway happening in rupee earlier. Sri Lanka has also taken to rupee trade in a big way. So that's expanding and becoming easier. As far as your first question is concerned, I don't know what is the specific sort of...
We have free trade back to the Sri Lanka, so their export procedure is simplified, should be simplified. That is expected in the presentation.
Yeah. So if you see the new foreign trade policy which has come, which became effective this year, there are a lot of simplifications that have been done. And like the speaker from the MEA said, there is a continuing effort to engage with different countries, get into FTAs. The very fact that there is an economic diplomacy division now in MEA tells you how India is looking at the global markets and how India is treating economy as a lever to engage with countries of the world. So that's going on, and I think a lot of change has happened in the last few years, and it's an ongoing exercise. So if there are specific issues, you should write to EEPC, and I think they will take it up with the Ministry of Commerce. Yeah, right.
One more important issue. I want to draw the attention of the Indian engineering think tank that in spite of the increasing demand of the forged steel, only few forged steel plants are there in India, just like Bharat Forge, and rest all requirement of the forged steel in India is met by imports. Under Atmanirbhar scheme, why should we not encourage the few more forged steel plants to make our India self-reliant in forged steel, which is very, very important, because most of the tools and tackles used extensively in the industries are made essentially from the forged steel due to its wear resistant.
That's happening. A lot is happening, and under Atmanirbhar, and also because there are opportunities, I think, and as the markets move, I think entrepreneurs will do that.
I think, as I understand, Rajatji is also online even now. So in case, Rajatji, you want to take up part of the question that Mr. Srikanth asked? Rajatji? Okay, we'll come back to him.
Yeah, let's bring in, thank you, Mr. Kopardekar. Let's bring in Mr. Kabraji. He represents Karlsruhe, the state of Baden-Württemberg, and he has a presentation. We'll go to him now. And one of the questions I had in mind was, just like the Americans are doing friend-shoring, Apple asked its manufacturers to manufacture in India, and they have been doing that, and then we heard that the Apple sales have been growing rapidly. Is there some such move from Germany and the state of Baden-Württemberg? But you can talk about it in your broader presentation, right. Please.
Excellency, thank you for involving me. I'd like to take up a point which Jitendra mentioned, and this is about relationships. I think relationships are the key to really good business. I used to work with CII. I went to Southeast Asia. I came back to India. I worked with the French Chamber. I left the French Chamber after my contract was over. I started working with the Germans. The most important thing is that the relationships that were built up over a period of 2 decades were never lost. They were always there. They were always catalogued and kept. Some years ago, an American company came to India to buy cast products. And I was the secretary of the Aluminum Casters Association. I persuaded them to become a member of the association. And they started sourcing some parts from India because they were trying to scale down their operations in China. Now, we took them around the country. We showed them the key players in the aluminum casting business. They were quite impressed. They started buying from India. Small quantities initially, and then the quantities started picking up. Most of these components were automotive, but there were a whole host of other components which were non-automotive. One day, they came to me and they said that they wanted to buy components in India for an American company which was manufacturing top-of-the-line two-wheelers. So I had a look at the profile of this American company, and I realized that the chairman of the company used to work with a French company when I was involved with the French chamber. So I took a long shot and I addressed an email to him, and he came back and he said, I remember you. He said, when we were sourcing from India, you took me all over India and put me in touch with some of the best suppliers. And he said, how can I help you? So I said, next door to you is an American company which wants to sell cast parts to you. And he said, put me in touch. I want to talk to them. So they spoke to each other. And the American company came back to me and said, this was a very good contact. They want to buy cast parts. And he said, guess where I'm going to buy them from? From India, right? So the relationships are never lost. Also very important was that the American company was getting into the light aircraft business. And they were buying cast blocks, which also the American company is now going to source from India, from a company in Pune. Right? So I think good relationships is something that you must maintain, right? There's no two ways about it. I'll, in the interest of time, I think I'll limit myself to this point.
But can you tell us a little bit, Mr. Kabraji, Zubin, about the state of Baden-Württemberg and Karlsruhe, which you represent right now, and how Pune can expand its interaction with Baden-Württemberg/Karlsruhe?
Sure. Can I just go and do a little presentation? Okay. Thank you.
Just to put on record, Mr. Kabraji and his colleagues in Pune office as well as in back in Germany helped us out for a small little delegation. As you would have heard in the morning, the chamber is trying to put up a future technology center along with auto cluster and the necessary stakeholders right here in Pune. And just this morning, high-level delegation from the chamber returned. And let me put our word of appreciation to Kabraji and his colleagues here, as well as in Stuttgart and Karlsruhe, for a wonderful whirlwind tour of the facilities that could be more relevant for the automotive sector of the future of Pune and Maharashtra, as well as, let's say, India. So, over to you.
Thank you. So, good evening, everyone. Good evening again. Excellencies, people on the dais. I'm going to quickly run through this presentation. There's an interesting series of slides And I'm just going to talk you through quickly, right? First and foremost, Karlsruhe, city in Germany, southwest Germany, right? Excellent location. It's the third largest city of the German state of Baden-Württemberg, and the 22nd largest city in Germany, right? Roughly with inhabitants of 1.2 million. And like almost other major cities of Germany, all other major cities of Germany, has beautiful access not only within the country, but to other parts of Europe. Let's move on. It's a city of networks and clusters, right? Regional and international networks. I think companies which seek a high technology environment would thrive in a city like Karlsruhe. So I'm giving you a little bit of a sales pitch over here. Don't mind me, that's part of my job. I believe that with an address and an office in Karlsruhe, you would get access to such networks. Networks such as the Cyber Forum, networks such as the Automotive Engineering Network, right? And these are right now close to people who are not located there. The moment you get an office and an address in the city of Karlsruhe, the moment you start operating from there, you automatically can apply for membership, right? And be a part of these networks, right? We have, as part of a success story, taken 5 companies from Aurangabad, set up a consortium in the city of Karlsruhe. They're from the automotive sector, all making different components. They've been there for 2 years. They are all a part of this network now, and the fruits of success are coming through. Let's move on. Some facts and figures, right? Like I said, inhabitants 1.2 million. There are about 68,000 companies located there, right? It's a GDP of about 40 billion. It's a city where unemployment is low. And the city has something called welcome centers. If you emigrate to Karlsruhe, you go to a welcome center. They tell you what you can do economically and socially, right? And given the state of the current situation, where Germany is looking for a skilled workforce, we are in a position today to fill this lacuna. What is likely to happen is that over the next 2 or 3 years, Germany is likely to take on about 0.4 million people in the skilled workforce, and these people are all likely to come from India, right? And most of them will end up in the state of Baden-Württemberg and the city of Karlsruhe, because the pilot project, which is being run by Germany, is being run by the state of Baden-Württemberg. Something to bear in mind, right? It's a hub for global players. I mean, this slide is self-explanatory. It's got 6 Indian companies at the bottom. Yeah. I think SMEs need to take note of this, because everybody in that list is not a big player. There are many small people, okay? And they are successful because they've moved to this high-tech environment. They are in this network. They work with the Karlsruhe Institute of Technology. They propagate their research, okay? And my advice to SMEs is to evaluate your chances, your potential markets, and take stock of your experience and as Jitendra said, your finances, okay? Tell us what you have, and we will tell you if you are good enough to go there. Let's be frank about it. If you're not good enough, right, we'll bluntly tell you, do something else. But the important part of it is that if you have it in you, come and talk to us. We'll tell you what to do. Karlsruhe and the India board. You can't go to a place and meet with success until you really establish yourself over there. The India board is a group of Indian entrepreneurs who are located in the area, as well as local German companies with an interest in India. They have the India board, and they discuss issues which are both economic as well as social, and they meet from time to time. The Lord Mayor of Karlsruhe is the chairman of this group. So we carry clout, very important. Karlsruhe is an engine to drive digitalization, right? An engine to drive digitalism, okay? The digital initiatives of Karlsruhe are big time, and the city prides itself in being an engine for growth. The figures in the slide speak for themselves. If again, it's some sort of digital business that beckons you, Karlsruhe is the place to be. Karlsruhe and smart production. Incubating is a business that Karlsruhe prides itself in. This environment of incubation leads to smart production centers. The key to this is artificial intelligence, and possibly nowhere else in Germany is this more prominent than in this particular city. Developments are catalogued, ideas of commercialization exchanged, which is very important because you can't just keep on having inventions and keeping them on the shelf. You have to have an invention, right, which has to be commercial. It has to be sold. Okay? If Industry 4.0 makes you think seriously about Karlsruhe. There's a lot happening in that city. Right? It's a startup hub. It is home to many startups. The city gives you good facilities, and if you seriously look at the city, the representatives from the city council will help you to secure the right kind of location. They will help you to set up your company. They will help you to open a bank account, right? They may even help you to find a local director, right? It's a city, it's a founder city. These are all the cyber lab startups that have come to the city of Karlsruhe. Why Karlsruhe? All across the world, people flock to cities that have a particular flavor. Whether it's Singapore, whether it's Taiwan, whether it's Tokyo in the east, whether it is Dubai in the Middle East, whether it's Frankfurt in Germany, whether it's Zurich in Switzerland, or whether it's Palo Alto in the USA. Each resonates with something that pulls you in. And Karlsruhe has all of that, maybe more with high quality of life. The state of Baden-Württemberg is the strongest economic region in Germany. Let me tell you that in the city of Pune alone, there are 76 companies from the state of Baden-Württemberg. and they are only second, because North Rhine-Westphalia has almost 130 companies from Germany in Pune. We have a little catching up to do. You can do good business in Karlsruhe and with an unparalleled peace of mind. I think in the end, let me tell you, there are many options. You can go to many different places in the world, and you don't necessarily have to come to Karlsruhe. But if I were a startup, if I were in the digital business, if artificial intelligence was my forte, I tell you to go to Karlsruhe. I had a second presentation, but I'm going to skip that because that one belongs to the state of Baden-Württemberg. It's already been pitched at an earlier program, right? I just wanted to say that Karlsruhe is a part of the larger ecosystem of the state of Baden-Württemberg. So you're not missing much if I don't give you that presentation. But if there's anything else that you'd like to know, right?
Yeah, I think I'll open it up.
If you want 5 minutes, otherwise
I think I'll skip it. I'll skip
No,
it.
if there are any questions about Karlsruhe, I have one question. It's on the lighter side, Zubin.
Yes.
I will go to Karlsruhe only and only if you get chicken tikka masala there. So do you get it?
Everywhere in Germany.
So they have answered for you.
I can assure you, right, that there are probably more than 50 restaurants which will give you more than chicken tikka masala.
No, because many of us from Pune are vegetarian. So, you know, that is also important.
Right.
Good.
Sure.
Yes, please.
Yes.
Please give him a microphone. No, take a microphone because I think then they can record the thing also. Yeah, better. No, yes, sir, please, go ahead.
Good evening, sir. Sir, I have a company in Chakan. The company name is Meenakshi Metal Forms. We have expertise in heavy sheet metal components. So we have CNC laser machines, banding machine, shearing, punching. We have a good fabrication center apart from machining. Our clients are JCB, Monito, means mining and construction equipments. Recently, I interacted with a team from Michigan State. They were from the government official from Michigan State. So they were trying to actually promote rather, or the intention was that we must open something in Michigan. Okay. Similarly, there is again a team is coming from Hanover, Germany. They are also the officials from that, government officials. So my question is that in case we are keen to start a production unit in any of these areas, what are the thumb rules to look into so that right from the beginning, we are in a profitable situation and there is no regret?
Excellent question. Maybe I request Mr. Divgi to answer that. He has practical experience.
So there are many aspects to this, but I think it begins with familiarity with that region, and you should ask yourself how you understand that part, the people there culturally. This is most important. After that, I think you, in the West, like the United States, Europe, economic data is available. It's published and available. And you can also get access to consultants. So you should do some kind of a market survey for the type of services or products that you wish to introduce there. Eventually, this data collection should converge in what I would call a comprehensive economic model. And unless you see the numbers coming together, you know your business. So things like land cost, construction cost, power cost, labor cost, the cost of consumables, other stuff will be the same. So I believe that it is possible then to construct an economic model, and then using that you can sort of do what-if analyses to assess the risk, okay? I am an unabashed admirer of the American system, having benefited from it. So the United States, I think it's a huge market, great place to be in. It has this terrific knack for reinventing itself, unlike many other parts of the world. And Indians are very welcome there. You know what kind of stature the Indian community has in the US. But I would recommend that you do this study. There are many different states in the United States that are inviting Indian investment. So Michigan is up north, it's very cold. Perhaps you should look at some of the states in the south, like North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and then figure out what. So I would recommend that you do a very, very systematic study before you take a decision. Zubin, would you like to add something?
No, I think you just about covered every single point. I'd like to put the sort of question on its head. When the Germans came to Pune, they would come and meet us, and we'd talk to them. And we would sell Pune to them, right? At the end of the day, we would also tell them that you've heard our sales pitch. Now, we're going to put you in touch with a few other people, and you go around the country and have a look for yourself and find out if there's someplace better you could be. And 95% of them came back to Pune, right? Now, you're not always going to have this experience, because sometimes, okay, you will end up finding a better place elsewhere, okay? So while, for instance, I encourage people to go to Karlsruhe, I always tell them that if your business is better off in Stuttgart or in Munich or in Frankfurt, right, please go there by all means, right? That's how it is.
Couple of things. One is that you also need to understand what's the regulatory framework governing your business there. In terms of whether it is technology sharing, IP, labor related things, or even if you are trying to acquire a company. For example, when we were dealing with this issue with some European nations, one stumbling block really could be that, for example, a SME back in UK or Germany, if it had promised, say, lifelong pensions to its existing and past employees, and if that is not factored in the acquisition cost, for example, then the whole economics would go for a toss, one. Secondly, do you really need to be setting up a production facility there in the first place? Like what companies do when they come to India, first they set up a representative office, then a marketing office, maybe a JV, then later on a full-scale facility. So, something similar you can think of exploring there, or like-minded companies. I'm sure the networks like Karlsruhe and Baden-Württemberg would be around. I'm sure there are. We know the representative office of Pennsylvania and Michigan. They are all in Bengaluru. They frequently keep coming to Pune. They have also been to Chamber. So we are really happy to put you in touch with some such state offices, representative offices, or the networks that we know of, for sure. Another thing is that we have recently embarked on an initiative to support the SMEs to go global and try to make a match out of it based on mutually beneficial considerations. And this idea has also found favor in the Economic Diplomacy Division, Economic Relations Department of the Ministry. That's how Damu Ravi sir, who is the Secretary also took it up to the highest level of negotiations, right up to G20. Sir, if you remember, the final document also has a mention about SMEs, how they can be supported in exploring global prospects. So these are some of the conversations that we have had at the high level with the support of Bombala sir and the current MEA dispensation, as well as ministries and also Indian missions in other countries. So very recently we have had delegations going to UK, to UAE, as well as now latest one in Germany. And we will continue those explorations, and we will continue to bring those delegations from other countries, notably at the another flagship event of ours, which is the Pune International Business Summit. The 5th edition will happen in 2024 February, 26th and 27th of February. So my colleague Nikhil will now look after this. 4 years I have done it, and we will do it together, basically to host the delegations from other countries. That's how EEPC and the delegates from Karlsruhe, Stuttgart, and other places are also slated to come. And if you have any ideas, if you have any issues, that when you stumble across these kind of ideas, just drop a mail, maybe seek some time. We will be happy to meet you, not only in routine foreign trade matters, like engineering or food processing, but even in electronics, defense, and so many other things. And the current government dispensation is very actively supporting the addressing some of these issues in case you stumble across. For example, we also had a session on a full day workshop on SCOMET, the restricted items, the dangerous goods, supposedly dangerous goods items. So the whole cross-ministerial team was with us 3 months ago, and a day-long workshop. So they ironed out quite a few issues. We had the Ministry of Defense, we had the Ministry of External Affairs, we had Commerce Ministry, the additional DGFT himself was there, and a couple of other ministries, including METI, were there. So, some such interactions will keep on happening. Keep an eye on our communication. Also, proactively, you can reach us. We will be happy to get you the right answer if we don't know it ourselves. Thank you.
So I'm going to bring the session to a close unless there are any more questions. Yes, there's one question there. We'll definitely take your question, and thank you.
Sir, good evening. I belong to I represent a small manufacturing unit from Kolhapur. It's a cast iron foundry unit. And one of our customer who is a Spanish customer, and we have got very healthy relation for last 2.5 years. Now, last 6 to 7 months, we are in a discussion rather from their proposal that they want to establish a joint venture with us. But with my past experience, like I'm not able to find out the way, what will be the mechanism, and how should we enter into such JVs with such firms.
Which country is that?
Spain, Spanish. So.
And joint venture is here in India or there?
No, they want to form a JV here in India. Yes. So what are the mechanisms? Yeah.
So, first up, if you could share whatever contours you can share, except the confidential part. We will want to have a look at it. We will put you in touch with the right expert who can advise you. First up, you should look at what is the jurisdiction if suppose a dispute arises a couple of years down the line. God forbid any should not, but in case. So logically, the dispute settlement should happen in India according to Indian. He may or may not agree. Could be the international framework. Some such soft factors we will definitely advise you on our own. Let's look at what is on offer from your side, what's there, and what is the result, and how are you going to progress. Because any joint venture, as Zubin would tell you, would succeed only if both of you collectively contribute to the success of the joint venture. You can't say that, okay, there's a Spanish company, he wants to sell a product in India, and he wants to use my network, so let him put all the money and I will just enjoy the fruits. That won't happen. That won't get you the success.
Yeah, I have one suggestion, Sudhanwa. Let's take this as a test case. can Maratha Chamber appoint one points person for them to interact with who will hold their hand through this whole process? So that we want a success story from Kolhapur in Maharashtra. So 1 point contact in Maratha Chamber, can you share with the gentleman?
Thank you.
So Sudanwa will be your 1 point contact. He will hold your hand through this whole process to make it a success.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
If there are no more questions, any more questions? Yes, there are many more questions. We'll take all your questions. So there's one at the back, sir, and then we'll come to you in the front.
So I'm Nitin, and we have been helping companies on cross-border transactions on the M&A front. But there is something which we have stumbled upon recently while doing this activity, and that's regarding technology transfer. So actually I wanted to check with Mr. Divgi, because you do have a lot of tech transfer agreements earlier. So as he mentioned that now they have been working together for 2.5 years, but that may not be the case all the times. So we have been coming across companies which want to enter the Indian market, because obviously we have a huge market, much beyond what people have been anticipating until now. So obviously, what would be the basic points which they would look at or try to identify while they choose an Indian partner?
$1 million question. But yeah, we've been at the other end of this, as the Indian partner in many technology licenses with companies, with consulting firms. And I think what people look for is a certain complementarity, right? I mean, if you complement each other, then there is potential for synergy, and then it's not 10 plus 10, but 10 multiplied by 10, I can give you our case study. So what we did was, we were a component manufacturer, and in the mid-90s, we were already around for around 30 years. Our antecedents go back to the early 60s. So we were pretty good at what we were doing in components, but we wanted to graduate from a component maker to a system maker. The Americans were looking for cost-effective sourcing as well at that time. So we looked at their products and said that the components that are required in those products, we will export back to you and license the technology and then turn around and use those components also in the products that we make here, right? So that was one mantra that worked in our case. But I have to tell you that the whole process took some time of building confidence. And it was more difficult in those days, almost 30 years ago. But in this instance, if the gentleman here has already built a relationship and you've been supplying, so in terms of delivery, quality, just basic factors of integrity have been established, the professionalism involved, and there's mutual respect, then that's a good place to start. So I think these are some broad prerequisites. But as the Americans say, the devil is always in the details. And my view is that the Indian legal system has come a long way, and we truly have some world-class legal minds in this country. Second to none, I can tell you that. So I would strongly advise, even if it means spending some money, that you get, and I'm sure the Maratha Chamber will be able to give you, and I can give you some suggestions. There are some outstanding companies now in Pune as well. You don't have to go to a solicitor in Mumbai. I think you need good advice in terms of crafting and sculpting that technology license agreement or the formation agreement, the shareholder agreement that you will negotiate and conclude. Hopefully I've answered your question a little bit.
If I can just add to the question that you asked, and maybe I suspect that may be applicable to you as well. In all the media information that you see, India is a bright spot. So there is a lot of, and there are headwinds in Europe, particularly US now, UK. So many of those companies, and particularly medium-sized, small-sized companies who are good at what they have been doing, want to access the Indian market. But like large companies, they don't have the wherewithal to, come to India and set up their operations. So many of them, and I have seen some, opportunities come like this, where there is a product manufacturing company and is known globally, exports, is buying some components from India and wants to seize an opportunity in the Indian market. So his instinct is that, can I, partner with this guy from whom I am buying castings or components, like it might have happened in the case of Jiten many years ago, and rope them in as the partner in India. So what they will do is bring in their know-how, product know-how or brand, and sort of source some part of that from you and use you as a channel to access the large Indian market. So I think that is what they are looking at. Companies who do not have a sourcing arrangement in India, they would look for a partner who has those kind of capabilities and a track record of being able to access the Indian markets, and they want to sign up a JV. And yeah, those are great opportunities which Indian MSEs should take, take that leap to, like you said, I'm not sure whether I want to do it or not. My recommendation is give it a hard look, take good advice, take help from people, and if there is a business case, go for it.
Yeah, I would second and endorse that. If nothing else, it will give you valuable experience, exposure that will come in handy later on. My sort of thesis that I'd like to put in front of everybody is that this is truly India's time, and we have the talent, we have the entrepreneurial skills, we have, I think, the financial imagination, the commercial imagination. I've dealt with many different parts of the world, and I can tell you the Indian entrepreneurial imagination is second to none. So this is your chance. Take advantage. There is tremendous, the Indian ecosystem is good. We have, as I said, we have some outstanding legal firms, and they will help you put a good solid agreement in place. I think better than what the European solicitors will advise their clients, that I can tell you.
So one point contact in Maratha Chamber will be Sudhanwa, and I'll be tracking it from the board level also. So we want to make this a success, if it works out, as I have all been saying. Jokingly also, before I come to you, sir, Jiten was saying that this is India's time, and he said that is his thesis. I thought it was Mr. Modi's thesis. He was the one who said it. So anyway, it can be both of your theses. Sir, your question, please.
Good evening. I'm Sushil from OIPL, Incarnate Impacts. We are into basically component exports for Bajaj, TVS, and Piaggio. Recently, we have come across some Russian buyers who interested in buying a lot of things from India because of the sanctions and all. They want to route from India also. But this INR system is not set. It took 45 days for me to set the payment system over here in India. Because this private banks, they don't entertain. They are more governed by the US than Indian RBI. It's unfortunate. Now my Russian buyer wants to route a lot of things from Iran through India. Now we are doing it from UAE, but it's a volume, we couldn't do that. So what is, there's a question plus a suggestion, like, is there any set system for this INR purchases or INR trade for exports? And which are the banks doing it particularly? Or if Maratha Chamber can set up a office or even a professional, consultant for that, who will guide us? We have 20 to 23 countries, like particularly Zambia and Tanzania. We are doing a lot of exports to these two countries, but we're doing it in US dollars. And these people doesn't have the currency, particularly Nigeria again. Nigeria, I don't have a INR system, but Nigeria, our orders are delayed by months
because of they don't have the currency. Kenya again, same thing.
But why do you want to do the transaction in INR? Because, you know, the Russians don't have shortage of US dollars. In fact, they're making a lot of payments to Indian companies in US dollars. Your client has a problem, is it?
I don't, he's interested in doing it in INR.
He's interested?
Yes. No, now we have also started doing it. It is through Sabar Bank. They have a branch in Delhi and we are doing it through Sabar Bank. But what about other countries like Tanzania, Zambia?
Let me answer that. Private banks are not doing business with Russia because all of them have US investors. No, branches is not an issue, I think. So the first step you need to do is open an account with a public sector bank. All